We are going to go ahead and get kicked off for today's AMA. And starting us off today is the one and only Magnus.
Hey everybody, just wanted to give an update on the gas optimization work for Quest V3. That's something definitely at the top of our minds right now. That's been my focus. Right now the plan is to do kind of like periodic releases of gas optimization updates rather than waiting a long time for I guess one big release. That there's some kind of like low-hanging fruit stuff that I've been addressing, and then there's also some heavier refactor work to come down the line, and also just take some time to kind of optimize for both DFK chain with gas being the primary driver of there, and then on Clayton it's both gas and the computation limit addition they have. So definitely some nuances there, but so we're gonna make sure we're focusing on testing and like don't want to shake up things too much right at the start, and then we have some longer term goals. So yeah, uh, in probably next week, we'll have the first of those updates, if not earlier than that. But yeah, I just wanted to give an update that we are kind of tackling that as a high priority right now, and we'll have some changes out at some point in the near future.
Thank you, good sir. And I know that's been a hot topic on everybody's mind. And so today we are going to go ahead and jump straight into questions. We're going to mix things up a little bit. So, question time. The first question goes to Hubert Cumberdale. What are your thoughts? I love asking Hubert his thoughts. What are your thoughts on single-sided dark summoning or hero sacrifice? Basically, sacrifice a hero, have a chance at rewards, and that chance is impacted by things like summons remaining, rarity, class, etc.
Guys, yeah, good question. We have been talking about that sort of thing for a little while now. We have had a few different discussions about ways that we could do hero burning in addition to what we already have. And I think it's an idea with merit. We just need time to focus on it and decide if that's the route we want to go in addition to some of the other things we've been discussing, or just which things we want to prioritize. But that is one that I think is going to be talked about pretty heavily internally. Just at the moment we're not especially focused on adding new burn mechanics. We have other priorities that we're focusing on at the moment.
Thank you, good sir. Which actually, we'll just go ahead and snag. There's a question on prioritizing burn mechanics sooner rather than later. So I know you said we've got some other stuff that we're focused on right now. What are your thoughts on that front as far as, in your opinion, where that prioritization lies?
Yeah, I mean, I understand, the concerns that are kind of tied to it. I've kind of talked about this a lot recently in the past couple weeks, but we also do have our combat system that we're trying to get out, which leads to a whole bunch of different gameplay features that I think, at least for me, and I think many on the team feel is a higher priority, just to kind of create a more engaging gameplay experience for everybody. And hopefully attract new users and whatnot. So burning is definitely important. It's just we only have so much bandwidth, and it's something where if we're too loose with what we do, like it could have some pretty significant consequences. So even though it may seem like the solution is just simple, reduce a cost here or just reward these rare items for burns and things like that, like if we don't balance it, then suddenly these rare items don't become rare anymore, and it's pretty impactful to the economy. So there is a lot of thought that goes into ensuring that we do things in a balanced way, and I, for one, am not really willing to sacrifice that amount of time to do something just on a whim or without really testing or thinking through the consequences first. So yeah.
Thank you again. Next question, different topic, but similar question. Any update on level 10 mining and yellow eggs? Beetle, Hubert, Fox Magnus, whoever wants it.
I guess I'll take it. Yeah, that is in our pipeline. It's at the moment we are waiting on some more of the pet art. It is a pretty big effort to get all that art put together. And like I just mentioned, we are at the moment more focused on taking care of some things with the combat system, and that's also taking up our art resources. So I can say that I expect we won't have those out until we have a few more things that we're kind of focused, like maybe two major things first before those, I'd say. And what those are, I think I'm gonna not say.
Like it. Leave a little mystery. Let's see. Question. Actually, you know what, Hubert, I'm gonna go ahead and hit you one more time. Can we get a more defined definition of a tick in the speed formula?
Yes. So yeah, I was feeding Bolon some insider info when he was talking to Wowie the other day. And yeah, one of the things was kind of clarifying with the new timing formula for combat, how that works, and what a tick of time represents. I guess the thing I want to make clear is it's the way like a tick itself is just kind of a generic time unit. It doesn't really mean anything other than it's where you put the lines on your ruler. So a hero's turn does not have to occur exactly on a specific tick. It could happen like in like 2.67 ticks, for example. It's a continuous, like time is continuous in this system. It's not like a discrete thing. So I guess my point in kind of what I was saying and what I was seeing kind of being described was kind of being thought of as if everything happens after each tick, things get checked, and that's not necessarily how it works. It's more time is represented by ticks. It's not necessarily a second or anything. In reality, it's very, very, very fast being processed by computers, but like what's being displayed in the game and how that time flow is going to be kind of up to us to kind of tune it to feel good. But I guess just for the purposes of thinking about whose turn's going to be next and whatnot, you can just think of it like just generic time as a continuous thing. The next hero's turn might be 2.5 ticks away, it might be 5.7, and those numbers aren't necessarily going to be displayed as numbers, but we do kind of have plans to show turn order in a way that's intuitive for users.
You should have just said wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
That is a much easier way to say it, yes. Sorry, guys.
Appreciate the insight there. I'm sure that will get heavily speculated on shortly. Question for Beetle Dude. There's a question a couple weeks ago about sorting the heroes in the portal to throw those on summoning cooldown down to the bottom. Any thoughts on when we might have a minute to knock that out?
Yes, Bolon. You have an idea. Because you mentioned it in our meeting before this AMA, and I just did it. I'm sorry that I didn't do it earlier, but it's building and deploying now, so you may expect it within 10 to 20 minutes.
Nice. That's awesome. Thank you, Beetle.
Welcome.
If we
Anything
can
else?
get that promptness on every AMA question, I mean, we're
Yeah.
gonna
I
be
mean, is there any other ones I can handle while I'm at it? That'd be fine.
Yeah, if you could just go ahead and finish off that, that'd be great. Just drop PvP while you're at it. Let's go. All right, let's see. Next question. So with the skill 10 requests, curious if there was a reasoning behind not increasing the requirement to enter them when it took longer than originally anticipated to introduce them.
Well, I mean, we always did say that the next level ones, the requirements were going to be that you had that skill level. So I think if we had changed that, we kind of would have been going back on what we had planned and kind of had everyone planning for. I mean, the fact that it took a lot longer to get it out is just kind of an unfortunate circumstance, but I think that just means that more people are able to do it. Though I will say that I do have some plans for adjusting how the level 10 quests and future profession quests also are accessed once we have travel out. So that will make things a bit more complicated for how you get access to the better quests, and may cause you to have other things that you need to do beyond just having a skill level. So that's in the pike, but it's still, we need to get the travel system out first. So until that happens, I don't think we're going to be changing anything like that.
Ooh, interesting. Which I think kind of answers the second part, which is for the next higher level quests. No, it may not have that same requirement. It may be something different, or like in addition to.
Yeah, in addition, I think is the right
Yeah.
thing to say.
All right, let's see. Thoughts on thoughts on having the tavern in Jewel or Clay instead of Jade or Crystal to give additional use case to Jewel.
Don't know if that was supposed to be a me question, but I guess I'll answer unless someone else wants to jump in. I guess while that's possible, and while Jewel could definitely use more utility, I think taking away utility from like Jade and Crystal would be a mistake. So I think we do have plans. We have been thinking about ways that we can have Jewel be utilized in more ways. And we also have more plans for utilizing Jade and Crystal too. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll also add some thoughts here. How it's currently set up, there's like some fees for the tavern, and those fees get sent to a lot of different places, including the quest fund. A lot of things are kind of set up around that, so it would change a lot of things in the system, and there might be a lot of like unforeseen ramifications from that. But it also kind of not jogs my memory, but it like I guess like we could talk a little bit about the bazaar, because for the bazaar, I know we haven't probably talked a ton about it yet, but that will be interesting because the current way we're thinking about doing it is on certain chains we might use other tokens for the sort of like the base currency for the bazaar. So on like Polygon we might use something there. On BNB chain we might use something else. On our own chains we might use, like Jewel probably. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the one that's being used has a lot of liquidity on that chain. So certain ones might make more sense than others. And that one will be a very interesting use case, I think, for those.
And just to clarify, those chains are examples. They are not declarations. Just stop speculating now. They're just examples, randomly selected examples. Nice. All right, next question. Hubert, you mentioned in the ADFK stream not wanting to mess with genes and have like a makeover shop where, you know, heroes could potentially like permanently change their visual genes. Any thoughts on having a cosmetic shell where the innate genetics don't change, but players could acquire like skins, and maybe those skins are unique to regions and, you know, different tailoring types, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we've actually talked about skins quite a bit in a lot of our discussions in the past few months. I will mention that our plan is for equipment to be visible on heroes. So as far as just changing appearance goes, like once we do have weapons and armor and accessories available, those will be changing your hero's appearance. And then we've discussed having a skin system on top of that also. I'm not sure if they would be like, I wasn't really thinking of them changing the parts of a hero's appearance that is tied to genes, like their hairstyle or their horn, their appendages. But I suppose that is possible. But yeah, so I mean, we're thinking about it. It's again a question of priorities, and I think it kind of is attached to us getting equipment out as well. So once we kind of get to that point, we can look at it again and see how much effort it would be, and if it would be best to prioritize that. But yeah, we are all kind of leaning in the direction of eventually having something along the lines of skins.
Awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that as well. Next question: is there any chance that we can get the chart for Jewel fixed on CoinGecko, or I think there's a couple other sites as well? Unless Dr. Zipper wants to hop on stage, I'll answer a little bit for him. We have been in contact with all of those sites trying to get it updated. It's been a lot of back and forth with them that Dr. Zipper has been just soldiering on. So we've been in contact with all of them. CoinMarketCap is corrected. We've been, you know, still talking with a couple others. They have requested that we put together an API endpoint that feeds the data that we want updated. So Dr. Zipper has actually been working on that as well, so that we can pass that on to them and hopefully get them fixed once and for all. But yes, we do recognize that they are not correct. We are not happy about it either. And we have been working on it, and it looks like we have found a solution to actually get them updated. So we're working on it. All right. Next question. What is the next anticipated update? Which I guess the next one is Heroes New Clothes, but I'm assuming not including that. What are we anticipating next?
We need Sasha up here.
I'll give you a hint. It's what you mentioned a minute ago.
Yes. I just wasn't sure if you wanted me to say it or not. But yeah, basically right now, there's a bunch of things. We actually had a meeting last week to kind of talk about which thing we want to make sure to prioritize first, because there's just so many really good things that we want to do at the same time. And the Bazaar won out. It's been on our list for a long time, and it's close. There's still a lot of front end things that need to be done. We had an audit for it, and I'm actually adjusting some things here and there in the smart contracts from the feedback from the audit. It's just small things, which is great. And yeah, we're excited about it. It's going to be a key part of our outpost strategy, which I'm also really excited about. And I had a meeting about outposts with some other people as well this week for some ideas we have. Um, I think it'd be really cool, and probably don't hold me to this, but I'm trying to be more transparent as I can about what we're currently thinking. But I think it'd be really cool if we could set something up such that there's like cross-chain communication where you might be able to buy like hero NFTs from another chain uh, using that chain's like native tokens and have that actually do a purchase on our subnet for that hero NFT. So theoretically, you could see and buy all of the hero NFTs that are in the tavern without those having to actually be on all those other chains. So it's basically just expanding the exposure to those. So we're trying to see how feasible that might be and if it'd be possible to do. So that's one thing I'm excited about there too. So not related to our next release. It probably would be a while until we get that in place, but sort of related to it. There you go.
Nice. Thank you, Fox. Let's see. Any thoughts on having a dark summoning concept for pets?
So we do already with just the trade two pets in for a new egg approach. I guess if it's the thought of like trading into mythics to have like a chance for a mythic, that sort of thing. I don't think we're really going to prioritize that anytime soon if we're going to do it at all. That was kind of the trade-in for a new egg approach was kind of our dark summoning version, I guess, of that. So yeah, I guess there is an option available there, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily do maybe what you're thinking. So sure, Bolon, if that answers it enough.
Yes. Sorry, I believe it does. Let's see. Thoughts on a bridge toll. So a bridge toll between Crystal Vale and Sarandel, Hero Bridge, or like a cooldown between the ability to bridge.
um, I guess I'm gonna just keep answering these. So I think I'm not sure if that would really solve too much. If they, I mean, we could do those things, but I'm not sure what that would accomplish if it's to stop people from summoning on one realm and selling on a different realm or something like that. Uh, I mean, it would only delay them and wouldn't really change anything. I'm not really sure what that solves. I guess is my concern with that. Certainly possible, but we do also have a lot of plans for there being a lot of reason to go from one chain to another, and if you're trying to farm specific items and whatnot, if we're increase the cost of doing that, and that may be kind of counterproductive, is my thought.
Also, like we've kind of discussed or thrown ideas around for other like requirements for Heroes to Bridge. Not a lot of them make sense with our current model. So I am pretty happy with how it's currently set up. It helps to add like a balancer amongst the realms and things. But one idea that was thrown around was something like, actually, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because we decided it's not a good idea. So, but anyways, there's just all kinds of ideas that we've heard, and we like to hear more. So if you guys have more, just make sure to post them. That's what this is for.
Absolutely. Let's see. Next question was, what is happening to address gas fees on Crystal Vale? Magnus touched on that at the beginning, but Magnus, do you have anything else you wanted to add to it?
Yeah, I can expand on that a little bit. So yeah, adding some context to what I mentioned at the beginning of the AMA, Quest Core V3 is one of the most heavily used contracts on the chain at the moment. So that's where we're putting a lot of our focus to address gas for the time being. There's kind of like no free lunch when it comes to adding more computation, like we did with Skeleton, Profession Quest, and also pet utility. So more logic typically means more gas, but there are always ways to optimize and kind of like make connections to cut down the amount of data we're writing to chain, as well as kind of like the amount of computation we do inside of a block and passing data around and whatnot. So I've been doing a lot of analysis to find out where the potential areas to optimize are. I've got a pretty good idea of that, and working through kind of the easier of the two currently, which is and the faster to implement of the two, which is like passing less data around inside of all the different contracts that make up the questing system. So that will it's already led to some gas reductions. I won't throw out a percentage just yet, but it is a decent amount anyway. And then down the road in the next couple of weeks, planning to tackle the more difficult item, which is storing data on chain. Basically, we overhauled the way we do some of the calculations there, and so we're writing a bit more. But there's always ways to optimize and kind of refactor things. So we're tackling that as well. So yeah, basically going to divide that into a couple different parts. Get the kind of low-hanging fruit out stuff first, and then focus on the heavy hitters after those initial few releases. But definitely doing all we can to optimize things and make things more efficient for everybody playing the game.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you. That question also had a part about Clayton for the gas rebate. So that is still paused. They're going through a pretty large organizational change, so a lot of their things have kind of been paused as they go through that. But we are still in contact with them on it and just kind of keeping updated. If anybody has anything they want to add to that, feel free.
It is probably time we ping them again. It's been a little while. The main message we've been receiving was that there was a lot of things that were in flux. They've been in the process of sort of changing up some of their internals, but that is a thing they would like to bring back, was the last thing I heard from them. So I think we do need to follow up with them and see where they're at now.
Cool. Thank you, good sir. All right. Feature request. Thoughts on a hero quest history log?
I have thoughts on this as well. I think it'd be really, really awesome to have somewhere in game that you can see not just quests, because I think it would be awesome to see quests, but also just seeing all of the transactions. There's a lot of things that we show the results of, for duels, for example, or for level ups and things like that is probably another good example. And if you don't see those when they come up, or if your browser crashes or who knows what, or if you just want to look back and see the history, sometimes it's hard to find that. So we actually do track a lot of those things and store them in our cloud storage places, for databases. I don't think the API currently exposes those. It's actually through a different system. It's more through the analytics system, which kind of runs separate from the API. But I'd like to figure out a good way to bring that into the user session, so that if you are signed in, we could potentially start to store those events as they happen, and then store them in a Firestore database. And that would make it be available to the front end a lot more easily. There's also things that we could start doing with local storage. It could store those and have a history, but then the issue with that is as you move from one device to another, you wouldn't have that history. So a lot of things we've considered and looked at. We have some upcoming features which we haven't announced yet. that's pretty high priority, and it's a big feature. But I think that feature would be made a lot better by having a history like this as well. So, yeah, I think stay tuned for it. We do really spend a lot of time trying to think out the best user experience, and I think this is one of those things we're going to be working on sometime in the future.
Very nice. Let's see. Question that came in while we were talking for Hubert. So thoughts on, I guess, skill 10 profession quests and moksha runes. So basically saying that the current perception, at least, is that there's not really a huge change between level or skill 0 and skill 10 in terms of the ability to get mokshas, and just curious on if there will be other ways, or if they're going to be more likely in skill 10s or anything like that.
Yeah, so it's true that the chance of getting them did not change between skill 0 and 10. We have been talking about some ways to increase that. I was also kind of had plans for like future runes and the moksha rune to be more something that you can get through doing combat. So that's kind of one way that we might see more of that happening in the future. But we've also discussed some other ways that we would be able to maybe trade in some other resources to get that as well. So there's a few ideas that we've been discussing recently. Again, it's I don't see us changing the drop rates on the skill 10s in the short term, but definitely looking at ways we can kind of make them perhaps easier to get your hands on. Now that people are getting more experience, it's probably becoming more of a thing. So yeah, we're definitely aware of it and thinking about it. Don't have anything concrete to say though at the moment.
And just for clarification, the runic discovery pet bonus applies to both Shavas and Moksha, correct?
That is true. Yep.
Very nice. Thank you, good sir, as always. So at this point, we've actually gotten all of our questions done. We were very efficient today, which is nice. So we will more than likely wrap up a little early today. However, before we do so, I just wanted to give everybody a moment to touch on whatever they want, whether it's related to anything else or not. So let's see. I feel like we haven't heard Beetle Dude in a little bit. Let's start with him.
Yeah, you would. I said I did all my talking yesterday, you know? Like I should get a pass. But yeah, I think I pushed up the changes for the portal. We got about like 6 minutes or something, and that'll be up and ready to go. And yeah, other than that, just our team probably sound like a broken record, but we're just continuing to plug away at the here's new clothes and combat testing ground updates that will be coming soon-ish. Excited to get that out there. Really like seeing the new designs when I'm testing around and stuff. So they're beautiful. I'm excited about it, or stoked, or jazzed. I don't know. An old man now. I say weird things. But yeah, I'm excited for everyone to get a chance to take a look at that and to have it out in the world. That's all I'll say.
Awesome. Let's go, Magnus.
Yep, I don't have too much to say. Just heads down on the gas stuff this week. Hoping to trim things down a little bit with the Quest V3 contract. So looking forward to getting that out.
And Hubert.
Let's see. So yeah, mostly focused on combat system stuff. We are getting very, very close to finalizing Monk. Apologies for the delay on that. It's mostly my fault. I yeah, it's mostly my fault. You can just blame me for that. But I'm very happy with where it's at this point. We just have a little bit more to go, and so hopefully we can get another skill codex going after a long delay there. But we have been doing a lot in the background, getting geared up for like the Heroes New Clothes update and what that brings to the table, which is a lot and cannot be stated enough that it's a game changer for us in terms of being able to make progress and without like having just roadblocks from just the way we had implemented things before. And once we kind of get to that point, I think there's a lot of things that we're going to be able to do and move more quickly on. So yep, mostly focused there, but also really working on all the things we're focused on at once pretty much all the time. So yep, that's that for me.
Frisky Fox.
Yep, just knee deep in all the code. There's always things to be doing. Right now, I'm actually optimizing our tests, and I'm really excited about it because Magnus found a really cool way to speed those up, and I've also had an idea for speeding it up. And with those two combined, it's going to be like a lot faster. Which, if you have things that run faster for tests, that just speeds up the pace of what we can code because we get immediate feedback. So stoked about that. Also, this week in particular, I'm working on. Earlier this week, I like wrapped up a issue with Duels Season 4. There was an issue with some of the matchmaking for some of our higher tiered players, notably like Shakbilo and Baka, King Baka, and what was the other person that was pinging me? Karaket. So there's issue there that was fixed, and it seems like it's been working fine since then. So I'm really excited about that it's done. And then sort of looking forward to Duels Season 5 and some of the things we're doing for that, as well as a proof of concept to have like some people accept terms of service or something for our chain. We sort of talked about that a little bit in an RFC. I think our first RFC, like way back when, about what would people like to see for opening up our chain for other builders. So creating a proof of concept for that so that players can basically whitelist themselves if they just accept the terms, which will basically be created and set by the community through like a vote. So that's exciting because it's a step towards opening that up, and I'm a huge fan of that. And what else was I doing? Yes, the bazaar is my last thing. So, yep, always busy.
Always busy. No, as always, I appreciate y'all taking some time out of your busy days to come up here and answer these questions. Thank you to everybody who submits questions, because otherwise we couldn't do this. Appreciate everybody who tuned in and will tune in later. And yeah, just glad to be here as always, and grateful for everybody that is involved. So do appreciate it. We are going to wrap up early so that these guys can have an extra 20 minutes to keep working on all of those things. And we will catch you next week. I vote Beetledude does the bullish.
Me? I thought we talked about this.
Well, you didn't get second
All
best
right.
out on stage.
That's true. We have roped him in a couple times. All right, thanks, Spawn. Oh, dang. We do it together on 3 second best. Oh, okay.
He wants to be your friend.
Hey, he's being rude in chat. All right, yep. Let's get this party started. Appreciate y'all. Just want to say how proud I am of the team here and behind the scenes. They're doing awesome work, and working a lot and making sure that the best experience gets to you. So I just want to say that and leave you with a bullish
Bullish.
goodbye.
Nice.
Everyone.
Bullish. Thanks, everyone.
So.